There was a lot of wind, a lot of snow, very cold weather. And they tested at ranges of something like up to 200 meters from the soldiers themselves. They shot down something like all 67 drone targets. They didn't have to use more than 3 shots each.
You're listening to the Drone Radio Show podcast, the show about drones and the people who use them for business, fun, and research. Hosted by Randy Goers.
Hello, everyone. This is Randy Goers, and welcome to the Drone Radio Show podcast, episode 313. How many tries does it take to bring down a rogue drone? If you ask today's guest, he would say it only takes one. Sharone Aloni is Vice President of Research and Development of SmartShooter, a world-class designer, developer, and manufacturer of innovative fire control systems. The company's Smash Fire Control System significantly increases the accuracy and lethality of small arms and provides end users with a one-shot, one-hit capability across multiple mission areas, thus creating a significant advantage for the infantry soldier and ultimately revolutionizing the world of small arms and optics. The Smash Fire Control System was originally designed for use against ground units, but recently the Dutch Army tested it in a live-fire counter-drone trial. The test took place in the Austrian High Mountains as part of the Dutch Defense Department's examination of different ways to combat small unmanned systems. Tested at a range of up to 200 meters in harsh weather conditions, fog and blowing snow, the Smash Fire Control System proved to be highly effective in shooting down drones. It made no difference whether the drones were stationary in the air or moving. In this episode of the Drone Radio Show, Sharone introduces us to SmartShooter, the Smash Fire Control System, and how it's become one of the easiest and most reliable counter-drone solutions for the military. But before we hear from Sharone, I want to thank those of you who are supporting my funding campaign. Whether it's $1, $100, or much more, you can help defray the cost of production and keep the podcast going and growing. Go to droneradioshow.com/donate. So let's learn about a new counter-drone solution with Sharone Aloni of SmartShooter. Let's pick up the interview where I asked Sharone to introduce himself.
My name is Sharone Aloni. I'm the Vice President for Research and Development here at SmartShooter. I have over 27 years of experience in R&D processes, started as a software engineer and continued mainly in the system engineering discipline. I served for about 12 years in the Israeli Air Force, working in avionics, and later on started working in the Israeli defense organizations for many years with one of the big contractors. And for the last year and a half or so, I'm here with SmartShooter, an extremely innovative and nice company, which I will explain later a bit more on.
Picking up on that, what does the company do?
First of all, SmartShooter is a small company. We are about 50 employees, and we are based in Israel. And we are a world-class designer and developer and manufacturer of innovative fire control systems. These systems significantly increase the accuracy and lethality of small arms. We've understood that infantry soldiers, they have pretty much of a big problem, and they have a hard time hitting targets, mainly in real combat scenarios. The soldiers are tired, they are under extreme pressure, they might be fired at, and it's very hard for them to actually hit the targets when necessary. So we came with this really innovative idea of how to help them. And we came up with a concept of what we call one shot, one hit, meaning the target or the targets in the modern battlefield, they have a very, very limited time in which you can actually hit it. So it's very important to use that first shot and make it count. And that's where we come into the picture.
As I understand it, the system is actually a scope or a sight that fits on a rifle. Can it fit on any rifle?
Yes. The idea is we can fit with existing rifles. We don't need to make any adjustments to the rifles themselves. We don't need like extra logistics and everything that comes up with changing something in the weapon itself. So we are very modular, very diverse, with the option to support many different soldiers, countries, and armies around the world.
How did the company go from making scopes for rifles to shooting down drones?
First of all, the system, or you might call it a sight, we prefer the term fire control system, was designed to work for what we call ground targets. But because it's basically a computer, you can compare it to the smartphone, where you can just add different applications to it. So at some point, we got a very urgent operational request from the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces, that they started to have a major issue with drones, balloons, stuff like that. It was a lot over the news. And what we did in a very, very short time, without actually having to change anything in the hardware itself of the system, we added you can call it sort of an application that can now handle drones. We changed a little bit in the algorithms, which are the heart of the system itself. And now, instead of searching and locking over ground targets, we did it for drones. Now, it's important to understand that for the common soldier to hit a target which is so small and so quick as a drone, it's almost impossible, let's say, especially from a longer distance. So when we used our system for that, it extremely helped reduce the risk of enemy drones causing problems to our forces or the border lines.
Can you describe how it actually works from the user's perspective?
Basically, the ConOps, or the concept of operation, says that, okay, first of all, we can integrate with the external sensors. I mean, there are a lot of systems out there right now, which are detection systems, such as radars, electro-optical means, comment, and stuff like that. And we can get information from these kind of systems, or we can just be standalone. And I have to orient the system upwards. And once the drone comes into the field of view of the soldier, the system would kind of suggest that this might be the target that you want to fire at or shoot down. The soldier will kind of accept this and say, yeah, this is the target I'm looking at. And from that moment on, the system is continuously locking and tracking that drone and gives the operator exact indications, what is called augmented reality. I mean, we have symbology augmented on the real view, and we tell him this is the exact point where you need to aim your weapon, press the trigger all the time, but the bullet will fire only when you're at exactly the right time at the right place in order to hit the drone. And it's very intuitive, very easy. It only takes like maybe an hour to train a soldier to use the system.
Now, recently, the Smash Fire Control System was tested by the Dutch Army. How did that go?
Well, it was not exactly a demonstration. It was actually what is called usually an operational evaluation, meaning the Dutch Army, they took kind of on loan systems from us, and they went through a very extensive testing in the Austrian High Mountains. From the publications they sent out, you can see that they used them in very harsh weather conditions. There was a lot of wind, a lot of snow, very cold weather. And they tested at ranges of something like up to 200 meters from the soldiers themselves. And the system proved to be highly effective. They shot down something like all 67 drone targets. They didn't have to use more than up to 3 shots each, which is extremely well. And it actually made no difference whether the drones were stationary or moving in the air. And they reported about the trial, both on their Facebook channels and on other media means. And they said that this is really sort of a revolution for them. Soldiers were able to deliver a locked shot, both ground targets and drones, therefore significantly increasing the hit probability.
What was the duration of their test?
It was a couple of days. It's important to note that we were not there. I mean, they did it by their own. They trained themselves. We only gave them very basic training beforehand. We were not there to kind of hold their hand. They did everything by their own, and they came back extremely satisfied from this evaluation.
I think that's actually a great testament to your company and to the technology that they were able to deploy and use the system without your assistance.
Yes. Again, we really gave them a very, very short introduction on how to use the systems. They took them out, and these were actually weather conditions that, as you probably know, we don't come upon very commonly here in Israel, like these high altitudes and snow and rain and wind. But again, the system proved to be extremely effective.
Are you able to comment or describe the success that the Israeli military is having with the system?
First of all, it's important to say that the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces, is always our first priority. As an Israeli company, we will always be we will do everything we can to help the IDF soldiers. And the system is in operational use right now in Israel. We are in the process of supplying thousands of different units to the IDF. And it's used, again, both for what we call ground targets, as well as the counter-drone, mainly near the Gaza Strip and the borders, but in other scenarios as well.
What can you tell us about the nature of the problem that rogue or malicious drones present to the Israeli military?
Well, first of all, it's an increasing problem, I think, not only in Israel, but all around the world, because of the very, very low cost of these units and the fact that you can make them very automatic and very easy to use. Both terrorist groups and other sort of enemies, they tend to understand the amount of damage you can do very easily. We see a very high rise in the use of these kind of systems. And also, it's important to note that there are all kinds of counter-drone systems right now in the world, but a lot of them are using radio frequencies or other possibilities. While these systems tend to become more and more autonomous, you will not be able to kind of stop them or dismantle them without actually what is called hard kill, without actually physically hitting them in the air. And that is the place that we come into play. And it's also important to note that in the United States, there's an agency called the Joint Counter UAS Office. And we were selected as the sole hard kill solution for counter UAS. And they used a comprehensive, it was led by the Army, a comprehensive assessment of at least 36 competing counter UAS systems. And we were the only hard kill solution that was recommended by this organization.
Does it add much size or bulk to an existing rifle?
First of all, this is one of the major issues that we have to handle in terms of R&D and technology, how to make this system as small as possible, as low weight as possible, and also make it, of course, affordable, because the system is very complicated. I mean, it's a very small form factor, but inside we have mechanics, we have optics, we have electronics, we have the software, we have algorithms running inside, and everything has to fit in as small as possible casing. So we put in a lot of efforts in making it as small and low weight as possible. It doesn't add a lot more than your usual optical site. So I think in the cost effectiveness of adding a little more weight, but getting all these great operational benefits, we fit very nicely into this niche.
Does it replace a rifle's current optical site, or is it an additional apparatus?
It depends. Usually for day-use optics, we will replace them. I mean, we will pretty much give the soldier everything that he already have with all these benefits that I just described. Sometimes when we have to integrate with thermal imagers and things that are, or sites which are used at night, so we are compatible with them as well. And we are also working on adding to our portfolio systems with higher magnification levels. And it all depends on the operational need, which is different between different countries, between different scenarios. So the idea is that, again, to make it as robust as possible, as diverse as possible, without having the soldier needing to carry a very extensive weight on the weapon.
Is it designed to knock out the small drones? You know, the ones that are most commonly seen in the marketplace today?
Yeah. And in the beginning, let's say our initial test target would be something like a DJI Phantom 4 unit, which is a very small system. So if the other side or the enemy would use larger systems, it will just help us. It will help us extend the ranges in which we can hit targets. But again, even systems as small as these off-the-shelf commercial drones is exactly the target that we've started with having the need to engage.
When we first started the interview, you mentioned the system was primarily built for stationary or ground targets, which move fairly slow. Now it's shooting in the air at tiny targets that move much faster. How big of a transition technology-wise was that?
As I mentioned before, it's very important to understand that we did not have to change anything in the hardware itself of the system. It was all software, all computer vision algorithms. It took us something like 2 months to do that. And it was more in the understanding of the picture. What are you looking at? If you're looking at the sky, it looks different than when you're looking at the ground. You have less things to kind of use as background. But on the other hand, the target itself, like the drone, is very singled out of that picture. So there are things that helps us. There are things that make it more complicated. But again, by understanding that it was a very short period of time where we added this capability, you can understand that it was not that complicated. And now we have, again, a more robust solution where you can actually move from ground mode to drone mode in a flick of a button. So it's not a different system. It's everything inside, integral in the same system. So the soldier can decide what is the mode in which he wants to work at every single certain point.
Does Smart Shooter produce other products in addition to the Smash Fire control system?
We are always looking to extend our portfolio. Our goal or the vision that we have is that pretty much each infantry soldier in the field would have a Smash Fire control system on his rifle. And it doesn't matter if he has all kinds of different things that he is carrying. This should be like the basic thing that he has on his weapon. So we are adding, as I mentioned, system with a higher level of magnification. And we are also creating a whole new product line of remote weapon stations. So remote weapon stations up till now are very big. They are very expensive and they serve a purpose of a lot of firepower. And we came with an idea of taking the same idea, the same system, putting it on a very small and lightweight weapon station and allow a system which can also be used, again, versus ground targets or drone targets, but in a very small form factor. It's something that you can install on the border. You can install it on moving vehicles or masts or all kinds of different scenarios. And it was fairly easy for us to do that because, again, the heart of the system was the same. So, again, it's small arms. It's something that is very common in pretty much all the armies around the world. But now, instead of actually handhelding the system, you can use them from a safe distance. So there's a lot of different options in what you can do with these systems. And as I mentioned, we are always looking to increase and add some more capabilities, better night capabilities, non-lethal weapon capabilities, everything that we can see as requirements or operational requirements coming from the field. We are looking to increase the capabilities that we can do with the same system. And as I mentioned, you can compare it to a smartphone. I mean, if there's a new application that we run on it, even if you already have the system, already purchased the system, we can do something like a software upgrade and add new capabilities every time. So it's a new concept.
Sharone, how long have you been with Smart Shooter?
I've been with the company for about a year and a half now, enjoying every minute of it.
What was it about the company that made you want to join?
First of all, I have to say, two major things. First, highly advanced and innovative company that is always looking to get the next step and create operational value for its customers. And on the other hand, a great group of people with extreme passion, with extreme will to succeed and be able to provide, again, new ideas all the time. It's important to say that we are, again, a small company, but we do everything in-house, from marketing through the R&D and manufacturing, everything inside this small building that we have here. And we are extremely proud of the fact that we are very successful up till now.
Is there anything that we missed that we should talk about?
This SMASH system is really very unique. In terms of counter drones, it's a very unique hard kill kinetic solutions. It becoming more and more necessary to be able to actually hit these targets because they become very autonomous. And all the other things that are currently in use, at some point, I'm afraid might be irrelevant for the new and emerging threat here. Any soldier that has this unit using extremely short training becomes an expert in shooting drones and also ground targets. We will allow the armies to use much less training, much less ammunition, making it much more cost effective. And we can also significantly improve the squad capabilities. I mean, you don't have expert shooters versus novice shooters. Everyone becomes pretty much on the same level. And it's very, very important to note. And last but not least, these systems today are fielded. They are in operational use by all kinds of friendly forces around the world, including, of course, the IDF and the U.S. Special Forces, as well as others all around the world.
Tell us more about how the SMASH fire control system helps to improve overall troop effectiveness and mission capabilities.
So the idea is that instead of having, let's say, a single soldier in a platoon or a company that has the SMASH unit, and he is the only one capable of countering drones, we give it to pretty much every soldier in the unit itself. So it becomes less of a specialty and much more as a baseline capability of every soldier in the platoon or the company. You don't have to have a single point which can handle this threat. It becomes something that each soldier can not only just shoot targets, it can now handle drones. And if the drones will become, as we certainly think so, will become a threat which will become very common in the world, this idea that you don't have to be a specialist, you don't have to use extremely special equipment that only you have, is a dramatic change of a paradigm.
And for my final question, what message would you like to leave regarding the opportunities provided through systems like the SMASH fire control system?
The SMASH unit is already here. It will allow forces to handle this highly emerging threat of drones. It is something which is affordable. It is something that can be used by every soldier with very minimal training, and it will allow to handle this threat much better than all other options that are currently available, which will, some of them will become irrelevant in the near future. We reduce the collateral damage. We hit the target, only the target that needs to be hit, and we do it very efficiently. And as our slogan goes, one shot, one hit. That's the main idea.
That's it for episode 313 of the Drone Radio Show. I hope you enjoyed hearing from Sharone Aloni of Smart Shooter. I want to thank Sharone for taking the time to speak with me. If you want to learn more about Smart Shooter or want to connect with Sharone, check out the webpage at smart-shooter.com. If you like the Drone Radio Show, please consider supporting the podcast with a small donation. The content is always free, but for as little as $1, you can help defray the cost of production. To donate, go to droneradioshow.com/donate. And thanks for listening. Your support means a lot to me, and I hope you'll listen to more episodes of the Drone Radio Show podcast to hear how others are using drones for business, fun, and research. For the Drone Radio Show, I'm Randy Goers.
This has been the Drone Radio Show podcast. More information on today's show can be found on our website at www.droneradioshow.com. If you're using drone technology for business, fun, or research and would like to share your experience on the show, please visit our website and fill out a guest appearance application. And don't forget to follow us on your favorite social media channels.